Hey, everybody, welcome. It's so great to have all of you tune us in and turn us on. I am here, of course, with the most amazing psychic lawyer, Mark Anthony.
Well, how you doing, Dr. Pat? Let me tell you something, everybody.
I need a lawyer. I actually need a...
Yeah, well, then you got one. I was reading something very interesting. 100 years ago today, March 4th, not 100 years, but on March 4th of 1918, so I guess 104 years ago today, the first case of the Spanish flu was recorded. And it's like, wow, talk about history repeating itself. And the question is, have we learned our lesson? And, Dr. Pat and I, we're all about the science. We're spiritual, but we're about the science. And so I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, no.
Somehow I didn't think you would.
I saw what you're going to do right there, Mark. History does repeat itself. I mean, it does. I would like to think that it doesn't. I think that what we're really talking about is what we know of history. And what I mean by that is, where we began to start to record history, and we can think about it. I think the question that I want to bring up in this show, because we are talking about March, and we're talking about Metaphysical March, and March is a powerful month. And so this is why we are reminded, I think, Mark, of what happened many years ago and what can happen. And so I talked about this earlier today. So all of you that listened to the show earlier today, if I'm being redundant, forgive me. March is named after, who wants to guess? So March is the third month, and therefore somebody has now announced and have told me that this is the third month in numerology, and March is ruled by Mars. March is ruled by Mars, the god of war, March. But what's interesting about this March is it's very different. This is the March, and the spiritual meaning of this month is that this is one of these months where the decisions you make this month are going to have powerful, highest vibration energy, and they are going to be abundantly revealing and resulting. And the most powerful days of March are yet to come: the 6th, the 9th, the 12th, and the 20th. And so March just kind of has a vibe to it, right? I mean, we get through the year and we have a couple of months, and then there are a couple of months people don't even remember what the month is. But you get to March, and just saying March, it makes you feel like you want to do something, don't you think?
It does. And from the metaphysical standpoint, you're absolutely correct. But also think about, for most places in the world, the weather is very unpredictable in March. It's referred to as stormy March. The winds of change, and so and then we have the spring equinox coming up, the 20th, 21st, when we're shifting away from winter into spring. And so it's always a time of great change. And Dr. Pat and I thought long and hard when we were talking about the theme for this month, the Metaphysical March Madness. Okay, now
That's
obviously
right.
all the basketball fans know about March Madness.
Yeah, you tired through jumping through hoops, everybody?
Then you
Actually,
then you come to
Jamie,
the right place.
I know. As a matter of fact, Jamie is going to do a whole deal on that. She's the show that follows us. But, when we think about this, I'm really struck by a bunch of things in March. But I didn't know this. This here deal, I didn't know. And I've now read about this. I've been researching this, and just across the board, people that talk about this at a metaphysical level are saying it is about the advancement. March is about the advancement and moving, propelling us to the future. This month holds the vibrations, they say, of the number three. It's ruled by Mars, the god of war. It's influenced by the element of air and to the sign of Gemini. See, I didn't know that, so I'm not sure what astrology thing they're looking at. But the vibrational March has a firm order. Doesn't it sound firm like March, right?
It does. Yeah.
It's March. It's not like December, like my birthday month, like December. Yeah. But it really sends a message this year and this March. This is where all the decisions that we make are going to be for the highest and good of all around you. This is the month to make them. I found it fascinating and I didn't know it. So I'm really optimistic because March 9th is when I'm going to get like a new knee. And so I'm thinking to myself, what's got to be something wrong with March though? I mean, is March really the god of war? There's got to be something. There's got to be something. So here's the thing. March also will kick you in the butt. It's going to be like a butt kicking about relationships of all kinds. And if you have a strong foundation, we're seeing this play out, Mark, across the globe.
Well, think about it.
Across the globe.
The Ides of March. Um,
Saw that movie.
yeah, well, also it wasn't so great for Julius Caesar. Apparently, the ancient Roman version of impeachment was quite a bit more abrupt than, when the Roman Senate decided you had to go, you went. And what I always found ironic about that is Julius Caesar was taking a republic, turning it into an empire. He was a tyrant, and he had crushed his rival Pompey, and he's stabbed to death in the Roman Senate and collapses and dies at the foot of the statue of Pompey. Now, talk about karma never losing an address. So March has always been a turbulent month. But turbulence is not always a bad thing because the winds of change. What's that old expression? You got to break a few eggs to make an omelet. Well, that's kind of March. So there's a lot of things going on here. Also, the god of war. The way the Greeks and Romans looked at war, it was something of a very formal thing, and you had to show respect for the god of war. And depictions of the god Mars, which in Greek Ares, was not just a brutal killer, but there was an intellectual aspect to war. At least maybe that's how they justified what they did, because war in any circumstance, I think, is just about as horrible as it gets. But Mars was also, if you look at it in all the religions, the Hindus refer to Shiva, the destroyer. The Romans had Mars, the Greeks had Ares. And we look at death leading to a new afterlife. So there's always a deconstructive force to lead to something new and something better. So, yeah, March has a lot of tumultuous qualities to it, but it also is opening the door to spring and to a whole new a whole new era.
And so, I mean, when we talk about this, the show is focused on a number of different things, but for sure, when you guys call into the show today, this is a show to help with decisions. So if we really look at the metaphysical energy around this, and we really look as month March is that month, and some people, by the way, have gone as far to say that the decisions we make this month, the authentic decisions, Mark, not the one where somebody's forcing us to do things or we feel like we have to do things, but the decisions that are ours, those heartfelt decisions, those decisions are going to last for a while. Some people I read say going to last for the rest of the year. And I found that fascinating to know that here we are making decisions. Now, the question really becomes at a lot of levels, where do we make decisions from? Where, where do we get our insight from, Mark?
Very good point. Well, that can be answered on a number of levels. Where do we make our decisions from? Do we make them from the mind? Do we make them from the spirit? Do we make them as an emotional knee jerk reaction, or all of the above? And uh, we did a series of episodes on love throughout February and the winter of love. We plan for our career. Okay, you plan to go to college, you plan, okay, what is your major, or you plan like, okay, I'm going to go to a vocational school, or I'm going to have this job. And we plan for all of these things. We plan our finances, but we don't plan on how we fall in love. And so it depends on the decision. If it's a financial or a business decision, it tends to come from the left brain, very logical, very oriented. If it is a decision of where am I going in life, I believe that's a spiritual decision. And then the relationship decisions tend to come from our feelings. And there's pluses and minuses to doing all of that, because I think that decisions made strictly on the basis of logic tend to lack depth and feeling and compassion. Decisions made strictly on emotions can be haywire. It can lead to Mars March, which can be very chaotic and destructive at times. And if it's made simply spiritually, which is very very good in many aspects, but when it comes to finances and other things, there's a element of practicality missing. So my response, Dr. Pat, would be that it has to come from segments of all three of those. It's emotional, it's mental, it's spiritual.
One of the things I love is, you see how, for example, you see how the symbolism in this 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 entity we're calling Mars, the god of war. And I'm always fascinated to figure out how they got that name. How did you get to be that? When you go back and you look, before Mars was the god of war, and some people said that's because like the expansion happened. I'm not sure. But the symbolism had to do with the land and springtime and the symbolism of new growth and this burgeoning new life and renewal and big time surge of energy. And when we think about that, I think we can connect the dots because people are feeling that there's a sense of that now. And then the question really has to do with, what do we do with that? What happens if we become stuck in our own way? What happens if we know there's a decision to make, but there's some reason we doubt ourselves, we crush ourselves? We are going to take a short break. When we come back, we're taking your calls, 1-800-930-2819. We want to know if you need help with a decision. Are you sitting on something and don't want to miss out on that Mars manifestation of March? 1-800-930-2819. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, what does war and being God of war really mean? Does it really mean war, or is it a war-like energy? Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. Hey, everybody. Welcome, everybody. Hey, everybody. What? Hey, everybody. Welcome. It's great to have you here on the Psychic and the Doc. Um, let's talk about a couple of things. But before we do, Mark, I don't even know if I'm supposed to ask you about this yet, but tell people how they can find about you, how they can work with you, and do I say about your books? And are we talking about any new stuff? What?
Oh yeah, I get a lot of things going on. Obviously, the Psychic and the Doc every week, and people want to find out about my books, Never Letting Go and Evidence of Eternity, and my upcoming new book, The Afterlife Frequency. Please go to my website, evidenceofeternity.com. And you can also find out about signing up for a reading with me. And we do readings here on the show. And so, we're asking people call in 1-800-930-2819, call into the show, because you get the double shot here. You get a reading with me, and you get the insights of the one, the only Dr. Pat. And but I've got a number of projects coming up, which will be on my calendar of events. Also, I invite everyone to sign up for my newsletter. So kindly visit evidenceofeternity.com. And Pat, we're doing a lot with this show. We're bringing on we got some interesting guests
Yeah. Yeah.
scheduled, and we're no topic is off the table here. I mean, we talk about everything, and people are welcome to call in. And even if the purpose of your call isn't for a reading, but it's just to tell us something, tell us your metaphysical experience, since it's Metaphysical March Madness, because here we're not going to think you're crazy. All right. There's a lot of times, when I was practicing law full time, and of course, I got around, oh, that guy says he talks to the dead and all that, and it was funny because after hours, judges were coming to me for readings, cops, other attorneys, and the thing is, people are scared to talk about their metaphysical experiences, but this is a safe harbor for that, because we get it, we understand, and the thing is, the paranormal is normal, and the supernatural is actually part of nature. It just is a bit out of most people's everyday existence. Or is it?
Well, it's this question. I'll tell you, I had a moment today, and I had a moment of reflection. And, I think sometimes we can get so buried in the weeds of our lives. And, what I started to do is I start to look up. Stop, and I start to look up. And I had a moment today. And I know I've talked about this a little bit on my daytime show, haven't talked about it very much, but I looked up for a moment. And as we go into our 11th year this year with the Transformation Network, soon to be under the larger umbrella of, the Transformation Network, Transformation Talk Radio, I was stunned at the amazing people doing shows. Everything from, I just had a moment of this as I was preparing for March, and I was seeing what's coming forward. What's coming forward. So, what's coming forward when you talk about energy, right, Mark? You talk about all the time, right?
Right.
Somebody
Yes.
comes through and there they are,
Yeah.
right? So every once in a while, when you look up and you're not busy in the crazy or whatever you're busy in the crazy of, you have a moment. And I had this moment today. And I'm looking at our show, The Psychic and the Doc, right? And then you look and you're like, holy cow. Wow. Christelle, absolute alignment. Diane Solano, empowered through health. The gratitude guy, dude, seriously, on our podcast channel. And what I realized, I mean, confidence for it. I had a moment where you got stuff going on, but you don't know like what the Jessica's doing. And you got Jessica, Olivia, Linda, you got Bonnie, you got Aaron, you got Mariette, you got Jacob, who's over here doing stuff. You got Rocky over there, right? And all of a sudden, you're looking up and you have this moment where you could just cry. And this is in the month of March. Now, why am I bringing this up? Because war, or the energy of war, sometimes will push you to the place to literally stop and reflect, especially in war. And especially when you're in war with yourself. See, that's the symbolism of Mars. And I'm shocked today we're talking about this, Mark. And I'm looking at these shows, these new shows. I'm looking at Boss Up Babe. And then I'm looking at I had this moment where I could cry. And then we had a young man. I'm not allowed to play his video, I don't think. Jessica would have to ask him. But I had this young man who we're considering for a position. And we always ask them to create stuff, like show us what you can do, right? Kind of like
Right.
not a test, but I don't know what it is. This young man created a short video, very few words, capturing something I said 16 years ago. And Linda and I just started to cry.
Wow.
Holy cow. And so here's what we want to say to all y'all calling in. This is the show where we're going to help you get past the point, that point of resistance, the point of self doubt. Mark is going to take over here and we are going to try to connect you because this is the time to help you
Yep.
step left, right, left, right. What do you say, Mark? Let's go to phones.
I am ready.
Let's do it. Jacob.
All right, we've got Teresa from Florida. Teresa, you're on with Psychic in the Dock.
Hi, Teresa.
Hello, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you.
All right.
Is Mark able to hear what I'm going to say? I just wondered.
Teresa, I'm sorry. Can you speak up just a bit? I can
Yeah.
barely hear you, please.
Yeah, I can't, and usually I can hear too, but just speak into your phone. You'll be cool.
Okay, is this better?
Yeah.
Much. All right, Teresa. Woo! Go ahead.
Do it.
Sorry about that. I, of course, would love a little quick reading, but I wanted to share this information with everybody. My mother and I saw you, Mark, or actually sat in the light circle with you. It was in Cocoa Village.
Yes.
And it was right about a year ago now.
Right.
And the most wonderful experience, I didn't get to tell you because you were very busy afterward, but the most wonderful experience happened to me and my mother. Right above us and a little behind us, the lights, just a few of them, started to flicker.
I remember
and
that.
Like an
I
electrical
do.
noise.
I do. If I can, Teresa, I don't mean to interrupt. Just for the benefit of the listeners, a light circle is an event that I do that Rocky sets up, and it's 10 people. It's limited to 10 people, and that way I can guarantee that everybody gets a reading. And I remember that something weird started happening with one of the lights. Okay, Teresa, back to you. Go ahead.
Yes, and my mom, bless her soul, she has passed since then.
I'm sorry.
But that was my present to her, just because I love her. And
she was cool.
Had the most
She was, I remember her. She was really cool. She was sweet.
Wow.
Yes. And you were right on with things that you brought up. You just wouldn't let it go. You kept pointing my way and mentioned some things I had never told anybody. And that's fine. You just helped me get some closure. And I just want to say how amazing you are and how much my mother and I appreciate you.
Well, thank you.
God, Teresa, you have got some great energy, sister.
Hey, Teresa, there's a female energy that connected with me, and she's opening up $100 bill and holding it like this, and she's laughing hysterically. Now, who doesn't want an extra $100 bill? I get that. But is there some kind of joke or some story with you guys and a $100 bill? And because Benjamin Franklin's on the $100 bill, that could be a reference to somebody connected to you or your mom with a name like Ben or Benjamin or Frank or Franklin. or some connection with the two of you with Pennsylvania. Is there anything there that might make sense?
No, yes and no. It wasn't exactly $100 bill, but my mom and I would write checks and say that this is what, we're going to get through the universe. And I know sometimes we would pick up money and hold it. So that's the only thing I can think of right now.
Well, she's holding up $100 bill, so I think that's a good sign. Okay,
Wow.
let me see. And I know this sounds weird, but she said she's talking about you and breath mints like certs or Tic Tacs. Did you just change breath mints, or is there something going on with breath mints?
I used to use them, but I don't anymore. Now it's peppermint.
Uh-huh. Okay. All right. What it is, when a spirit gives us these strange little facts like that, that's how they let us know that it's them and they're around you and aware of what's happening. And she wants to say that you were so instrumental in making her passing peaceful, easy. And she said, and you know what? She said it was actually enjoyable dying. Not that she was enjoying herself as she was declining, but your presence, your love made the experience, like she said, death should be approached with clarity, peace, and love. And you made that happen for me. And I'm going to cry. I mean, I'm getting all choked
Wow,
up.
I'm choking up myself here. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Oh, God bless you,
Thank
Teresa.
you.
Thank you, Teresa.
God bless you too. Thank you
God
for
bless
taking
you
my
too.
call.
You bet. Anytime. Let's take a short break, everyone. When we come back, they want me to wave at my camera. I got the most interesting camera. It has a mind of its own. When we come back, we're going to take a walk. We're going to take a walk on the wild side of Mars. Yeah, because I would bet you $100 bill that Mark and I, somehow in our experience of life, we know what it's like to be on the other side of that Mars energy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's when you crack the egg and you miss the bowl. Let's take a short break, everybody. Welcome back, everyone. We're taking your calls. 1-800-930-2819. 1-800-930-2819. You know, Mark, it's before we get going, for people, if you want to find out about me, certainly go to drpatshow.com. Pretty soon my website, Dr. Pat B, will be up. For Mark, give us the version of how people can work with you. And that story by Teresa, I think we're going to cry throughout this show.
Yeah, that really brought tears to my eyes, especially when I felt the connection with her mother. And, it can take hours, days, weeks, and longer for the full impact or meaning of a message to make sense to people. And that's why I always tell folks, like when I'm doing readings, I say, be careful about just saying no to everything. And, Dr. Pat, I did a reading for this woman. It had to be 6 or 7 years ago, because 5 years after the reading, she sent me an email. And during the reading, her son had passed. He was only like 13 or 14. He had some horrible cancer that was very rare. And during the reading, I kept getting Napoleon. So I'm thinking like, okay, maybe he's a history buff. I'm a history buff. No, she said, it doesn't make any sense. I'm thinking, well, I like desserts. Maybe he liked Napoleons,
Yeah.
And nothing made sense. 5 years after the reading, she sent me an email and she said, I can't believe I didn't think of this. And I'd forgotten about the reading. It had been 5 years, but then when I read it, she said, my son's favorite movie of all time was Napoleon Dynamite. And every day when he came home from school, he'd pop it in the VHS, because that's how long ago that he died. He must have watched that movie, she said, 100 times and laughed and laughed. She goes, I don't know why I didn't think of it. And that's the power of the messages that come through. And honestly, it didn't matter that she didn't get it at the time. She did eventually. She must have been, she said she was driving and all of a sudden it hit her. Oh my God, it was Napoleon Dynamite. And 5 years after the reading, it brought her a really good feeling and a loving feeling about her son. So if people want to schedule a reading with me, please visit my website, evidenceofeternity.com. Sign up for my newsletter. I invite everyone to do that to keep you up to date. Plus, each one of our shows of the Psychic and the Doc has a theme, and I think the people that have been listening notice that, and that's because we want to bring up different topics, and we want to open the phone lines to people to share their experiences,
Yes.
their pain, their joy, what's going on with them. If they need some advice, we don't have all the answers, but perhaps we can get some insights from this side and the other side.
In we started talking about earlier in the show, talking about March, and I just want to say to everybody, this is one of these shows where we would love to be able to help you move the dial, move the needle on the dial. And I was talking with someone the other day, Mark, who was asking me about me, and I don't, I've shared more about me and my story over the past, I think, 5 or 6 years, uh, because one of the listeners said to me one day, you know, you're really relatable. You should talk about what you've gone through. We've gone through that. And how did you get through that? And so sometimes, especially my daytime show, we'll bring guests on and we'll talk about that. But the one thing I know, Mark, and maybe you can talk to this, I have not gotten through the trials and tribulations of my life without a few angels on my shoulder,
You bet.
right? And isn't that too part of what you do when you connect to a spirit on the other side? you know, we may not always get the answer that we think we're looking for, but we do get the answers we need, don't we?
We do, and the Dalai Lama is one of my favorite people to quote because he's just so cool. Um, and he said sometimes not getting what you want is an incredible stroke of good luck, because a lot of people go into a situation with what they want or what they want to hear, and spirits are not here to control us or possess us or do anything nefarious, but they are here to guide us. And in all of my books, I talk about that. In the new book, The Afterlife Frequency, the subtitle is The Scientific Proof for Spiritual Contact and How That Awareness Will Change Your Life.
Hmm.
And we do have spirits around us all the time. And people say, well, how is that possible? Well, you have radio waves around you all the time. You have infrared energy around you all the time. We're constantly surrounded by energy. Spirits are energy, and they make contact with us. And they are constantly sending us signals and messages, and it's whether or not we're receiving them. So you can call the spiritual influences around you guardian angels, you can call them spirit guides, whatever you want. But and you were talking about this earlier, Dr. Pat, the different
Hmm.
ways that we make decisions, one of which is spiritually. And that's where you have to open up. You can meditate, but the message will be pure, because nothing spiritual is controlling, and they're never going to tell you like drive really fast and crazy because a holy force field, or jump off a cliff and nothing's going to happen. I mean, they're not going to do that. They're going to help guide you. And what my role in this is, because I have the ability to perceive and connect with them, is to convey their guidance and their observations to you. Now what you do with that, now that's where your free will comes in.
I think this is really a time where what I love is I love working with women. And, one of the things I love about it is the idea of our lack of forward movement means nothing other than a pothole that you step in. And it depends on the pothole, depends on whether you're in New York or some other place. New York's got the largest potholes on the planet. And if you have a low riding car, you are going to lose your entire rear axle.
It's true.
That's just the way that goes. But regardless of that, a pothole is not going to stop the car. It's not going to stop you because you're going to hit the pothole, probably lose something along the way, but you're going to keep moving. The question is, can you avoid the pothole? And if you can't avoid the pothole, can you learn how to navigate? So whatever happens to you is like a breath of fresh air, as opposed to a lost tranny. Now, today's show is to help people, and we've got somebody calling in from Texas. So I think, Jacob, we should get right at it.
All right, let's bring on Jolene from Texas. Jolene.
Hi, Jolene.
Hello.
How are you?
Hi.
Hey, how are you doing in Texas there?
Well, we finally thawed out. Thank goodness for that.
Amen.
We were 32 hours without water and electricity, and it just was a big mess. Big mess.
I know.
Yes, it has.
I know.
Yes.
We've got a couple of hosts that are living down there too, but you're okay today, and you're in good hands here with Mark. How can we help you?
Well, there's been a lot of changes that's been going on in my life that's been very stressful, and I'm not sure why this all is happening to me, whether somebody is trying to test my ability to stay strong or to make different choices, or it's just there's a lot going on. And I'm wondering if somebody could give me some insight of where this is going with my life or what I should do. I'm just lost.
Okay. All right, Jolene, hold on. When you were speaking, a male energy is coming in connected to you, and he is connected through your male side of the family, which would mean your father's side of the family. Doesn't always mean father. But what I'm getting with him is my lungs are burning. And I'm also feeling a lot of burning sensation running right down my esophagus into my stomach. And I'm feeling that his passing was not a quick event. It feels like, what I call a draining sensation. Could be a cancer, could be a tuberculosis, something that took him down a click at a time. And he's very tight with you emotionally. Does this make any sense to you?
Not from my dad's side. I don't know exactly. Now, my dad, he died of a gunshot wound, maybe in the chest. I'm not really
Hold
sure.
on, in the chest? Did he die right away, or did it take him away to die a while to die?
From what I understand, it took him a while because it was.
This is your dad. Hold on.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
Hold on, Jolene, because what it is, I don't know if you can see me because, we're on video. I'm feeling it right here in the center of my chest. And as soon as you said that, the burning sensation dissipated. And the reason I said that it took him down a click at a time, I didn't feel that he died right away. So I think that this is your dad. Hold on. Mm-hmm. And he's throwing you a bunch of pearls. Now, most ladies I know have something with pearls, but pearls are the birthstone for the month of June. So this could indicate a significance connected to you or your dad or somebody close to you within the month of June, like a birth, death, anniversary, or event, unless, of course, there is a significant piece of jewelry that resonates with you with a pearl in it. Does any of that make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So we know we got your dad on the line. So let's ask him, all right, why. He said, you're tougher than leather and smoother than silk. Oh, your dad's interesting. I get the feeling he could write songs, or he did. That sounds like you're tougher than leather and smoother than silk. And he said that the reason that you keep going through all of this is because you're the pillar of strength for everybody around you. And he said that you come through everything just fine. And he said that what you have to stop doing is thinking that you're failing because of these obstacles. And what's interesting, Dr. Pat, this is kind of in conformity with what you were just saying about potholes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're going to hit potholes on the road, but that doesn't always mean we're going to be destroyed. And what he is telling his daughter, what he's telling you, Jolene, is that you're tougher than leather and smoother than silk. And just because these things are happening to you, it's not necessarily a bad thing. Dr. Pat, what's your take on this?
My take on this is, first of all, um, the thing I think about, Jolene, when I think about a pearl and I think about where that pearl is and how that pearl develops, right? Have you been isolating a bit?
I'm trying to. I'm trying to. My house has been interrupted by more chaos than I feel comfortable with, but I don't have a way out. So I would
That's
love to be able to.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
I
So
went from living by myself and having my quiet time to do as I wanted, and to complete chaos. So
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Yes.
yeah, because when I think about an oyster is this rough shell, uses it to protect itself, and has this beautiful pearl that's being generated in there. You know, starting from and its oyster
Right.
has to protect that pearl. And my sense is you got to try to find some peace somehow.
I do. I do,
I,
and that's what I'm grasping at right now.
okay, so can I ask you a question? Is there
Sure.
anything is there any, do you have a friend? Is there somebody COVID safe, some way you can step out for a couple hours with somebody else, or
Uh,
is that not possible?
oh yes. Oh yes, it is. It's very
Okay.
possible. In fact, I have a few friends like that.
Okay. So it's time for the girls to get together.
Yep.
Right.
That means it's time for you to come out of your shell.
I'm I'm more than ready. Yes, I
Okay.
agree. I agree.
Yeah. Now, what I'm saying is COVID safe, protect yourself, whatever that is, but get it on a calendar today. Like
Okay,
you're going to hang up now and then you're going to call your friends.
I gotcha.
Can you do that?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, because one of the things that I'll tell you about hope and hopelessness comes from not seeing a way out. And I'm really simplifying it. But hope gets
Hmm.
stimulated even if you pick up the phone and call them, and maybe you don't get together for another 2 weeks. You are looking forward to something.
I got it.
Okay. Please call us back and let us know how you made out. Okie dokie.
Yeah, Jolene,
I
call
will,
in.
and thank you. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
Yeah, you really are a pearl. Thank you. I can't wait to figure out how the girls get together and handle that. Let's keep going here, Jacob.
All right, we've got Barbara from New Jersey. Barbara
Hey,
from New
Barbara.
Jersey.
Hi, Barbara. Welcome to the show. You're live.
Hello.
Hi, Barbara. You're live on The Psychic and the
Hi.
Doc. How can we help you?
Well, I've had a connection with Lambert Castle in New Jersey.
Oh,
I
I
had
love that.
dreams of the place since 1972, and I never really found the answer as to why I had these dreams of the place. I
And
was
that's
wondering
Lambert.
if you,
Lambert Castle, right?
yes.
Wow.
Barbara, when you have these dreams, I know this can sound odd, but I'm getting a connection from the other side, and they portray like when you're there, it's almost like you're walking into a gothic novel. And I see you wearing like this white gauzy, I don't want to call it like a negligee, but something light, gauzy, breezy. Does this make any sense to you? Do you see yourself wearing white in these dreams and in these connections?
I saw myself in a lilac silk ball gown once
Ooh, even
up on the
better.
third
Mhm.
floor.
Wow.
The white gauzy dress, I think you're seeing, was when I was featured in the Haunting of Lambert Castle. It was a show that was on the Travel Channel, and a psychic on the show had said she picked up a person in a white gauzy gown. But
Bada bing,
didn't
bada
picture
boom.
myself huh?
That's what we're saying.
Bada bing, bada spirit. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm an evidential medium, and the information that I bring through has to be objectively verified. But there's a female energy coming through that has this very grandmotherly feel, very on the maternal side of your family. And, you know,
Okay.
as weird as this sounds, there is some connection between you and the Victorian era. And with the Victorian era, I'm getting like in the 1870s, 1880s. So sort of at the peak of Victoria's time, not so toward the end. And that, you know, and I don't want to go so far as to say, you know, you were there in a previous life, but this is what this kind of feels like. Or there could be a spirit connected to you through your family that emanates from that time frame that simply is one of your guides. And when that female energy connects with you, you resonate with that time frame. But that's what I'm getting. Does that make any sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Who's Dino?
Dino?
Dino. Yeah.
Dina?
Well, that'll work. Yeah.
Dina or Dino.
Yeah.
Dina is my daughter.
Okay. So see, the spirit's talking about her as well. Okay. Does she have really great teeth? I mean, I know that sounds goofy, but the spirit's talking about maybe she's got a beautiful smile, but I'm getting this, you know, this awesome teeth, awesome smile.
Yes, she does.
Okay. So you see, this spiritual contact, it isn't anything negative or scary. This actually feels like some form of ancestral connection, which feels like it's about 3, possibly 4 generations back.
Yeah.
So you know what? Enjoy it and go with it. And the funny thing is, you know those old can openers, you know, the kind where, you know, you take, you know, the can and you get like the little triangular pattern when you open it.
Yes.
And she says they're talking about you with these can openers and sticking it on your refrigerator with a magnet. I know that sounds weird, but does that make any sense to you?
No, but I do have a can opener that is like that.
Okay, does it have a magnet on it?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Okay. And the thing is, I don't fling out random can openers hoping to get a hit. That's what I call verifiable fact following a message. So Spirit gives me information, and then they throw out some fact that you can verify. And that fact is how the Spirit is letting you and I know that we have properly received and interpreted the message before that. You got some ancestral spirits working with you.
There you go. I'm just going to be curious to see. Say that again.
Does 1868 mean anything?
1868.
Well, that would be the time frame I was targeting. Remember, I was saying around 1870 to 1880. So we're in that time frame. So definitely.
Yeah.
And
well, that's who I was supposed to have been.
well, let me tell you. I don't know what you look like now, but in the previous life, you were really hot.
There you go. Well, yeah, I think I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you. Thank you so much for calling in. Thank you. What a great show. What a great show, Mark. I want to thank everybody for calling in, participating, watching. We've got a bunch of things planned coming up. You want to share a little bit about that, Mark?
Yeah, next week we've got a very special guest, Mike Ricksecker, and he's the author of Walking in the Shadows. And Mike is he's a colleague of mine. He is a science-based paranormal investigator, and he spent time studying what's known as the shadow people. And these are spiritual entities that the most common form, actually, that most people see is a shadow on the wall. And the nice thing about Mike is he's not one of these boogie woogie, making everything scary. He wants to explain it logically and his lifelong experience with them. And so we've got that coming up, and
Cool.
And it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah.
So that's coming up next week, and I look forward to seeing and hearing everybody here on the Psychic and the Doc.
Yeah, and thank you all for tuning us in and turning us on. Don't forget, we're never done on Transformation Talk Radio. We got another hour coming up right now. And remember, March, decisions, abundance, prosperity. Rock on. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning into the Psychic and the Doc with Mark Anthony and me, Dr. Pat Basile, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. Hey, look, come back next week so we can explore with you more of life's many challenges and learn from fascinating guests. And you know what? Even Mark and me. We'll connect you and discover insights from people in this life and from the afterlife. Extraordinary problems? Yeah, they do. They require extraordinary solutions. But step into the world of possibilities with us on the Psychic and the Doc. That's every Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on TransformationTalkRadio.com. That's TransformationTalkRadio.com. And don't forget, we're also live face-to-face on Facebook.com, Transformation Talk Radio.